start text to pay. Maybe Curve can give it to like me for just my friends, like Venmo.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
Text to pay Venmo.
One thing that has been top of mind has been, well, it's always, right, cash flow.
Yeah.
Cash flow is always top of mind. So AR has been something that we've been concerned with because there's been a lot of things going on cybersecurity-wise, and we can talk about that. But what are you hearing from your offices? Is cash flow staying current? Are they having problems with it? How are they handling it?
I mean, I'll start and say that volume. I think the volume is high. The hold times are difficult with insurance carriers, and then staffing. You know, they don't have the manpower. Yes, they can outsource, but it's come down to efficiency. Having the right tools in their practice really makes a huge difference. I feel that if you have the right software, right program that you can utilize to make sure that everything is efficient, I feel like when I see offices that are logging into multiple portals. I know it's like, they're using something for their verification, something else for, submitting claims. That makes it harder because it's like, how do I remember all these passwords? Or really when you onboard these individuals some of them might not have as much dental experience or zero dental experience because the market is hard and staffing is getting expensive. So a lot of the question is, how can I afford one more person on my payroll? And how do I even teach them? So it's being able to have, a software like Curve where they can log in, have everything right there for them, and having the tools that are there on training. I know I'm going to say Curve again because they have the videos and the tools for them to be able to log in, learn, get the education they need to be able to do all those pieces. Because they're on hold, this hours sometimes for verification, and then the doctor's saying, why is my staff always on the hold?
Oh, yeah.
They're missing phone calls.
I said this in a class the other day. I said it's not like we're on hold with people we really want to talk to. like we're on hold because we have to be on hold,
Well,
right?
the cloud-based softwares too, like you're talking about, I mean, that, for me, managing an office, that is part of what the ease of having cloud-based is. A lot of your outsourcing companies that you can outsource to now to keep your staff costs low enough, to keep that cash flow high, they're trained on it. They already know it, or it makes me feel more safe and comfortable in regards to being able to oversee things from that aspect of those people that you might be using to outsource things. So I feel like from a safety standpoint and from a security standpoint, some people kind of get a little, about cloud and this, and that, and the other, but truthfully, it actually makes that more prominent. Makes my safety and security feel more prominent because I can watch what they're doing more because it is all based there, So I think it's how we help run our cash flow. We've outsourced several things in the last, year and a half, actually probably since COVID, so 2.5, 3 years. And I say it all the time. I don't know why I didn't do it sooner. I don't know why I didn't do it sooner.
It's not like she didn't have people telling her to do it sooner.
Yeah, that's true. But I was holding on to everyone. I'm holding on for dear life. And I'm like, let it go. It's wonderful. So.
No, that's something that us managers and administrators deal with, is that we think if we let it go, then it's going to come back at us like 3 times the mess, right? But it's not actually the truth. And so if we can reduce onboarding as much as possible, I mean, you deal with managers that are like on ice skates all the time.
Exactly. I mean, or ice skates, roller skates, whatever the day needs, right? But that's one of the things, talking about onboarding and training, one of the things that I'm always concerned about with software is when the videos are there to learn from, because how many kids now learning, they're just like, go to YouTube. This is how this generation is learning, and they want to do things. But if you need to have that safety net of support, I think that's really important to talk about Curve, because their support answers, I think it's within a minute, and they actually have a person that can answer the question that you actually have, which is, to me, as if I was the owner of a practice, that would be very important for me.
I had a spouse, so you guys know that I have the Dental Spouse Network, and so with that, I had a spouse call me last week in tears, and she has 5 locations, and her husband is kind of like they're like a small DSO, I guess, sort of, and I guess they would be considered a DSO at this point. And she's like in tears. She's like, they have a cloud-based software currently, not Curve, and she said, I've been waiting 3 days to get an answer, and 2 of my offices are down. And I said, okay, well, I might have a connection that I can So I gave her, the private connections somewhere to get her to and she's like, I can't even be more thankful. She's like, that's the number one thing that I've heard is that you can get an answer in like a minute. 2 minutes, you can get an answer. Your support is right there, and so I think I agree with you about even hiring new people or bringing on new team members again to keep cash flow where it is. You can get a lot of that training done before they even walk in your door. You know what I mean? You can say, this is the software we use. I'd like you to watch these videos or do these kind of things, and they have a lot of training to be able to come in and ask for money or at least know where to look if money's due. On
And
from
think
an
of the
account.
onboarding, how much easier that would be as preparing to come into the office. I need you to look at these things.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and being able to figure out very quickly like what the benefits are and how much things are going to cost is super important in our world for sure. So we've got this quick eligibility.
I mean, 20 years, I can't even figure out what the benefits are sometimes. I don't even know what the benefits are. Oh my God. What are the benefits?
Someone has to take my online course.
Can you make sure you give her a login and password quick?
Get that plug in there for the online course. Let's go. I do have a code for that if y'all need it.
But being able to figure out how much things cost is such a huge issue for our team members. So we have all these team members that are hustling. And even that aside, even if they had all the time in the world, what do they miss? They don't have a lot of confidence. They don't have a confidence in the numbers that they're presenting, and so being able to get the eligibility and benefits with the benefits advisor that's offered, that's super, super important. And when I used to go in office and train teams all the time, that was the number one reason they didn't want to ask for money at the time, is they were afraid of being wrong. Which honestly, we should just let that go. Like, you're going to be wrong at some point. It just happens, right? So being as close as possible, that's what I'm moving them to. And you do trainings in office all the time.
Yeah.
Is this something that you are also
Oh my
seeing?
God. Number one, I just opened a practice where the lady that's hired, she has 5 years experience, but she's so paranoid of the verification being wrong because it's a new practice. And she wants to make sure that she's verifying everything properly. And, I watch her and I was on site for 4 hours and she's like, but I know this, but what if this patient, I'm wrong and the floor is not covered? And I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. As long as you say this is not a guarantee of payment, your verbiage is key, but then she's on hold with Care First for 45 minutes. And then she's like, but then I missed the other call, which was a potentially new patient because we only had 5 patients this week. So I think it's so important to, as you said, it's okay to be wrong, but at the same time, having the right tools for that front desk so that he or she can verify, at least get the basics of, okay, patient's effective. It's a plan we take.
Yeah.
There's out-of-network benefits, let's say. Then you can move on to the next step. I feel like a lot of people are stuck on that step.
Yeah, and listen, as soon as I find out there's a balance, I'm sending them a text to pay. So it's not like you're going to be like, oh man, all that money sitting out there, my AR is increasing. No, you're going to send them a text to pay, because that's how it happens. Like, we go to the vet, right? We go to the vet. I can't even go in and get my dog until we pay the bill.
Oh, yeah.
That's how it is. So, I mean, it's not like we're holding teeth. That's not the message I want to get across to you all. We're not going to hold someone's teeth, but you can see our patients.
No, I mean,
Well, it's just like
look how pretty it is in this box. It too can be yours. It's number 8.
You're not going to the pharmacy and getting your med if you don't pay for it. So it's the exact same thing.
Absolutely. So,
Beverly's probably showing implants while she's doing it.
like, look at the glaze on this crown. Ooh, that's beautiful. Ding. We do not advocate holding on to people's teeth before they pay.
But I think the text to pay is huge. I walked into practice 2 weeks ago. There was just many statements under desk, and this poor front desk was like, "Can you tell my doc that we can do text to pay?" Because she was like, "It's costing 60-some cents for the stamp, and then the envelope, and then the manpower." And let's be honest, I personally don't really check my mail anymore. I joke, unless someone sends me something certified, I don't. It's all junk to me in the mailbox, honestly. And I think
That was my bill that I sent you certified, Malika.
So she really doesn't
Wonder
even
what
check
happened.
that.
Now, I'm gonna start text to pay. Maybe Curve can give it to me for just my friends, like Venmo.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
Text to pay Venmo.
I think you just started something. Let's watch out here. But It is a good way to get people to pay. Don't Venmo me, please.
But why do we wait as a dental industry? Why do we wait and put an obstacle for something to get paid? The one time you don't want there to be an obstacle is getting payment or making sure the patient has a great experience. Why do we do that?
30% faster to get payment via text to pay versus just waiting for somebody to fill out a check. And who has a check anyways? But you know what I mean? Like even walking in with a credit card, like just take the money via phone. There's nothing more beautiful than waking up to your email inbox and notifications of just money.
That's why when you come in the office the next morning and you're like, oh my God, we just collected $5,000 and I wasn't even in the office.
I know, right? Like
it's a nice feeling.
That's awesome. So now there were some issues though. I did bring up the cybersecurity earlier because there's been a big issue. I mean, as we get further away from it, from the Change Healthcare, what I like to call the debacle.
Fiasco. I call it a fiasco.
It's a fiasco. I mean, there's other
other
words
too.
But yeah. I mean,
Several other words.
Several other words.
Not to be repeated.
Family show.
Can they do some?
I'm talking on behalf of our clients, right? We've heard every word mentioned.
I mean, honestly, I know you had texted me with issues. Multiple people had texted me saying, what's going on? Are your offices recovering yet? Have you recovered? You're still in there? But the money did like freeze for a little bit, right? And all services
We're a little bit frozen now. Frankly, we are. So I was kind of saying a little bit earlier off camera. We're probably right now at about 2/3 where we normally are, 2/3 of the month total where we normally are in April. And it's scary. I mean, frankly, it's scary. And I'm like, well, we don't even use Change for like claims submission, but we use it for a billing part of what we do, which obviously, text to pay would fix some of that. It would fix a lot of that. But it's also just, it's concerning. It's definitely concerning. And I'm not just hearing it from or seeing it myself in my own practice, but I'm hearing it like across, from my other spouse friends and other things like that who are managing their practices. And in a lot of my office managers groups, I mean, that's all the same thing. They're just saying, well, what's going on and what's happening? And everybody still kind of feels in the dark, I think, too. Like, I don't feel like anybody has any real answers. First it was, okay, well, they paid the ransom, then they didn't pay the ransom, then what did they do? And now there's another hack, and now there's another ransom. And so it's kind of like,
well, there isn't a second hack. There's a second ransom.
Okay.
Same data, but
Same data.
I mean, honestly, like because Change Healthcare was all over medical and pharmacy, pretty much everybody in America, their data is part of this. I mean, honestly. So if you've been to a doctor at some point and had a bill generated, you are most likely affected. So,
Lynn, you have a sister that's a pharmacist. Are they seeing the same things?
Well, within the pharmacy realm, they have real-time adjudication, so their money is right there. So it's a little different when it comes to the pharmacy realm. They're fighting other things. In the beginning, it was, can we fill prescriptions and what are we going to use as a clearinghouse? That was the immediate need. Once they got that straightened out, and there's a difference between being an independent pharmacy and a chain pharmacy.
Okay.
So that you sort of break that down.
the chains had a lot of problems. So in the military too, my dad's a vet, and that was just a big
Well, that's what's happening with us. That's exactly why we're at the 2/3 of collections, is because of the VA, and we work with the VA quite a bit. We have a lot of veteran patients. Obviously, Carl's a veteran, so we have a lot of that happening, and that's literally. I mean, when we called them the other day, and we're like, "What's going on?" Normally, they're 45-day pay, done. It's easy, it's simple, and they're like, because they're dealing with it on their end, they're having trickling in of the claims, so it's just a trickle down effect.
I'm seeing it in all my offices. I mean, offices that were in 95, 98 percentile range are right now hovering around 70.
So
Yeah.
That's us. I mean, we're at about 65, and I'm like, am I going to have a job tomorrow? I mean, thank God I'm married to him, so I can't go too far. But if I wasn't,
if it gets
I
that
would be
bad,
fired.
though, you never know. It could get really bad.
I would be fired.
It might be
Not
like
only
Beverly
fired
staying
and
home.
divorced. now I lose my job, lose my husband. One of y'all's going to have to hire me.
Oh my God, I don't know about that.
That's you. I'm scared. That's you. So
I can sell something.
I know.
So let me give you some actionable tips here. So let's break it down. Let me give you some actionable tips here. So it was supposed to be February 19th was the date, but I think it was a lot more than that. So a lot earlier than that. So I would say anybody who was submitting claims February and they were part of change, you would probably need to make sure that you're running your reports and double checking on that. Now, let's think about it from a different point of view. Say you have been appealing a claim and you're submitting all this additional information and all of that prior to the debacle. All of that is gone. So any attachments, any appeals, anything like that, the consulting reviewer logging in to find it is gone. They're not able to access it. So a lot of people are finding that they have to restart the appeals process. So keep that in mind. If your offices are, they have aged out by this time.
Right.
And it might be like, wow, I thought this was going through. And it's very likely that they just don't have access to it anymore. So even if you give them a previous claim ID number or a previous attachment number, there's nothing to look it up. So you're starting all over again. Yeah. So that's something to keep in mind. And then and this is something that the industry is now, I think, never going to do again, is that they had all their eggs in one basket. So the payments, eligibility, the claims, everything, ERAs, everything went through change. And now you can see carriers are very reluctant now to do all of that. They're going to be parsing
I saw
it out.
GEHA is using another company now.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
GEHA
they
and
are,
Guardian
yeah.
were both all in, and now they're having to parse it out.
Yeah.
So I think the claims volume processing is slowly catching up, but that doesn't help some of us who are still waiting for these long appeals. Because what claims are we appealing? The high dollar items.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are out, right?
One thing we've done just from internal standpoint is we just kind of decided we were going to take this time to go through every account. I mean, literally. And it's actually been good because, it's manpower. I mean, you're going through all of your active patients. Okay, so we have about 1,800 active patients. You're going through every single one of them, but it's also helped us find other things. You know what I mean? It's helped us find like, oh, this person never got reappointed for this, or it's kind of just like an overhaul to make sure that those claims are out and they're at least going to be recognized, right? Because the goal is that we get them recognized. So.
Well, at least something good came out of it. Like you made some lemons out of that. That's good, right? She doesn't look convinced, but I think you did.
So it's a lot of work, but my team's on it, so they're great about it. But yeah, it's definitely look for the lemonade.
I will say though that the most fun I had really was looking online and talking to people who were like, what am I going to do? I can't send my claims. And all of us who've been doing this a while were like, you can print your claims. You know that, right? You can hit print, put it in an envelope, and then what I kept seeing, oh, you need one claim per envelope. No.
The hard part about that is too, though, is unless you send them certified, they still have to recognize them, right? True. So that's the hard part about this firing it off. It is a lot of postage. It is a lot of money doing it that way. You have to, but I mean, it's a lot of time and money doing it that way. But are they going to recognize them? Or are we going to go back to the same thing that they used to do?
They're going to they're going to recognize them. It's just going to take a long time. That's why people are now, like I say, just resubmit it.
Yeah, and you know what I've noticed, and it kind of was like, I do a lot of acquisitions. And during acquisitions, the seller's AR is agreed upon collecting for 6 months. I had 4 separate cases where an attorney reached out to me and said, I'm having an issue because the seller thinks the buyer is holding on to his money or her money.
Oh, that's so interesting.
And I had that aha moment. I was like, okay, let me educate you. And this poor attorney's like, okay, you're talking too fast, and I don't even know what Change Health is. And what was hacked? And I realized that there's another world that doesn't realize, and the seller that's kind of checked out already doesn't care what happened and doesn't know. And so I had to put out fires for these attorneys because I had to tell them that the
That's
buyer,
actually interesting.
Yeah,
really
the buyer's
interesting.
not doing anything wrong.
Right.
He's not holding, or she's not holding onto your money.
How funny.
I wouldn't even have thought about that.
They're like, you should talk about this. I'm like, I was like, this is Teresa Duncan. Go to our website.
I think that's also a webinar.
Yes, I really think
That's a webinar.
And actually, I was going to tell you, we should do a recording on it because I've had 4 the last month, where to the point where they were going to hire an additional attorney to investigate. Oh my God. Because, get it, there's all this money that they're waiting to come in.
Yeah, no, there's so many reasons.
Well, as you know, it does happen, really. Even that does happen in some worlds, right?
And that's when you call her.
That's right.
To do the investigation.
But another thing that this uncovered with Change Healthcare, again, taking the lemons and making lemonade out of it, is being detailed with your process, with every single person knowing what are they responsible for and who's responsible for what and when. Because I've gotten so many calls from newer clients that are just they're overwhelmed because they don't understand what all is entailed, and then how are they going to have everything happen so that they do get paid. So it's I always talk about dentistry with dominoes, but that as soon as you mentioned that, I'm like, oh, the reports, okay, that makes sense, because it's all related.
Yeah.
And this is where I think a lot of our clients are having to realize, yes, I am. If it's a solo practitioner, this is I'm the clinician, I'm the head clinician, but you're also a business owner. And this is where this takes more of your clinical knowledge is great, but now you need to put on a business hat or find somebody who has a business hat that can help you, navigate all of these things.
Yeah.
It's multi-pronged for sure.
From your wisdom and experience,
I am the guru.
You are the guru. From your wisdom and experience, what do you actually foresee as a timeline or a trajectory for
I
this
get this
stuff to
question a
pass?
lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're almost back to normal. All the contracts that the carriers are now renegotiating with print vendors and all that are pretty much a done deal. So we're back to normal. And one big sign for that, to me, is the improvements in a lot of the portals that we've seen just in the last little bit. There's been a lot of improvements on the online portals that were on hold. So I was expecting to see some of these, some new chat bots, and like United Concordia just redid their whole portal. I was expecting to see that earlier in this year, but change, of course, killed that. And now I'm seeing like the technology is rolling back out. And so I think they are back to normal. But, talking about an industry that's an aside, just give you a little trivia thing here is that most of us had moved to EFTs. A lot of us had moved to EFTs. Well, the carriers that had seen a great reduction in EFTs and virtual credit cards, but virtual credit cards had reduced their print demands. Okay, so bear with me here. So they had reduced the contracts with printers in the area for printing checks and EOBs because over time it had slowly decreased. Well, now when this happened, all of a sudden, all of these carriers had to now print tons of EOBs because there's no more electronic capability. Well, all the printers in America were like, get in line behind all the medical people that now we have to print claims for or print EOBs for.
Yeah.
So that's why now we're starting to see, all of a sudden, we're getting like a ton more EOBs back in the office. But one unfortunate piece that I think we all have to work towards educating our clients about is the fact that I know that it was very tempting to move away from EFTs because it was such an issue, but try not to do that, because I would be surprised if we had something of this magnitude again. But I know a lot of people that are like, you know what, I'm done with EFTs, I'm going back because this would not have happened. I'm not sure that that's true because the processing still would have slowed down. But I am seeing people nervous about going all in on electronics again. And it's a knee-jerk reaction when your cash flow dries up. I mean, think about all of our businesses when COVID hit, when cash flow dried up, we all were like, what the heck?
Yeah,
And you start
scary.
doing all this reactionary
That's why I called this a mini COVID. I was like, this is a mini COVID for medical and dental, because especially the ones that are smaller practices. I had a couple startups that were like, what am I going to do?
They had to take out loans.
Yeah.
I know quite a few that had to take out loans just to make payroll and mortgage and all of that. So I think we're on the better side of it. I'm not going to say we're out of the woods, but I think we're on the better side of it. So as long as these hackers, go somewhere else, hackers. Go, I don't know, go to another industry. Stop with us. And you guys thought insurance and billing was going to be boring. See, it's not boring.
Never
This
boring
is my
when
world.
especially when you talk about it. You make it
It's
fun.
so boring.
It is not.
It's about the money.
True.
We appreciate Curve Dental for sponsoring our lunch conversations. We have a lot of fun doing these. So find us on social media. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like this video and visit Curve Dental. Share it. Oh my gosh, yeah, share it, of course. Thanks for listening.